Excuse me.
Thanks. Thank you. How about that? So I'll cue it up. Do we want to pick a spokesperson to start out with? Who do we have? I don't hear anyone volunteering. Oh, spokesperson. Going once.
I've had my bite of the wheel twice.
You've had it twice, huh?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, Amber.
Okay, I'll do it.
I mean, a volunteer is always good. I'll help with notes.
I'll take notes.
So the question on the floor is, what are your main questions or concerns about the responses to the comments? I would open that up to even say the process, because it is hard to present questions and answers in this fashion. Was it clear? Did anything stand out to you that where the response didn't address the comment? Or did we miss any comments for those topics? James, sorry, I'm not used to calling on people.
Yeah. Well, first, Bill, let me just say, I had a chance to kind of like peruse the plan that you guys laid out, and it's really a remarkable document in terms of all the things that you all have gotten in that mix. But I'm just going to be real honest with you. I'm going to be looking for some more specificity about issues relative to who you're going to use. It's nice to put things in words, but at the end of the day, the proof is in which organizations are going to use, what their implementation track record is, and that kind of thing. And to be honest with you, when we start talking about things like cultural competency, I want to know how you guys are going to measure that, whether or not you're having any success in doing that, and what are going to be the parameters around trying to define cultural competency. And then the other piece that I'm really concerned about is the fact that this is all on you all's shoulders, as opposed to all the other people who benefited from these racist systems, i.e. the banks, i.e. the utility systems, all these other players in this whole scheme. I don't think have been challenged to have a part in the success of this project. Give you an example, the banks. The other night we had a program, we talked about the absence of loans for minority contractors. They redlined Black people in this area. We talk about this in the context of what we've been doing. I'm thinking ODOT. I'm not talking about you all, because if you all do what you've said you have done, Bill, it'll be a miracle, honestly. But at some point, Megan and ODOT has to reach outside their box and reach out into those elements in our community that have benefited from historical racism by supporting and really helping you guys do what you do. It would be nice if a line of credit for $100,000 was available to a contractor who had a 4-year contract with you all. And then you all could actually look at the line of credit, help them manage it. And we're talking about real meat on the bones. Front loading and all that other stuff you've been doing for years is good. But at the end of the day, we got to move beyond that ball. You feel me? I hope you understand what I'm talking about.
Taking notes.
Okay, I'll shut up now for a minute.
So Michael Birch was next, I think, Bill.
Yep, go, Michael. You're mute. You're on mute. You got the same problem. Me. Start over.
Take my hand down and leave my flipping voice on mute. Anyway, Tawana and I received the report yesterday. We've been in interviews and just a whole bunch of business.
I'm sorry about that, Michael.
That's okay. So We have not had a chance to review it, but from what I heard, it sounds like a complete plan. My issue is, will this include union carpenters? And if not, that's fine. I just need to know if Terrence is meeting with the folks at our JATCs, because if he is, I need to be aware of it so I can help with the process. If other JATCs operate like ours, you have managers from the contractors, and then you have folks from rank and file members on the JATCs. And I think it's important that he reach out to folks that work with the JATCs to ensure that people are in the pipeline that will be needed. So Terrence, I thought he was in this meeting, but he's not. But if you're not working with union carpenters, that's fine. But I want to make sure that you have the people that you need to work on the project. And I will have an opinion about the overall workforce plan, which is what I'm most concerned about once we've had a chance to take a look at it. And I think that, Bruce, your history is that you do the right thing when you're given the tools to do it with, and you make a way when your tools are, you know, some are missing out of your bag, you make a way to get there. So just, you know, keep doing what you're doing, and let's see what happens.
Okay, we got that, Michael. We have not met with the carpenters yet, and we need to. I'll just answer that real quick. I think that out of respect for ODOT's processes, we've held back from getting out on the street. And Terrence has been around to the labor's JATC, and he's been meeting with the pre-apprenticeship programs and with the Northwest College, but we have not met with you, and I will be reaching out to you very soon. I would really like to have a face-to-face with you.
That works. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Cortez, Art.
Thank you. I would like to touch on Mr. Posey's statement about providing loans for small businesses, because this falls in line with wealth building. One of the parts that that's been discussed over the last few years and really not really identified very well. And James, tell me if I'm wrong going down this road. The agencies have the ability to create a fund that is accessible for businesses. So small businesses, diverse businesses, businesses of color that don't typically have access to capital or lines of credits can be easily designed around the schedule of values of the contractor's work, and funds can be put into an area to be accessed by the project manager that actually works with the firm, so they're able to verify that the activities are correct, and also purchasing has been done correctly, and that they're learning how to properly do their billing activities so that they're not exceeding beyond the capacity of affording the project while they're building the project. The idea would be more in line with having a very solid understanding and developing a relationship intimately with the businesses that would be there working on those projects. And the idea mostly would be to make them successful at their activities and be able to sustain themselves moving into the future. And why it's important to have a liaison or a project manager working closely with those businesses is the fact that we don't want to intermix other projects from other areas that they may not be related to the actual project itself. So you'll have to be very close with those businesses so your funds aren't being used for other activities. So that's the floor for me. I thank you for your time, and I yield the floor.
Wow. So Art, that's really great comment. I've personally had this dilemma in my head on this particular project being the size that normally we would expect those kinds of things to occur outside the project, like at a higher level, which is, I think, what James is describing. But lately I've been thinking that, to your point, we have more flexibility and direct impact at the project level. But however, I've never seen that. But if any project has ever justified something like that, I would think this would be that project. So I think, these are, I know Shelley's thinking about this right now, but in the perfect universe, you would have both. An organization like ODOT would have these statewide programs that are addressing what James is talking about. And when you have a large enough project that has a potential for a large enough impact, then you would put those resources at the project level also, knowing that a project manager like Matt or myself is also going to be reporting out to an organization like COAC, and which thereby gives COAC even that direct intimacy with a program like that. So I just appreciate both those comments, both James and yours, and I think they're both worth carrying forward for sure.
So James, before you jump into your comment, like Shelley, is your comment related to arts? Because I feel like we need to like tease out arts a little bit more. Is that okay, James? Yeah, you're muted, sir.
All right. Yeah, all I want to say is really this is outside of Bill and the joint ventures thing that I'm talking about, because they've got their hands filled already. I'm looking for an augmentation of what's already out there. For example, Prosper Portland has resources. That's what their mission statement is to develop businesses. Why aren't we aligning with them in support of this project from Prosper Portland? It's a city program, and if their mission statement is aligned with this, why aren't they going to the banks and other organizations like MISO and other organizations to make sure there's a correlation between what they're doing and what this project is doing? Somebody is not thinking about how we globally make this thing work for the people who are going to really be building this railroad. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Y'all feel me on that? You understand what I'm saying on that? So there are other organizations, Oregon Business, for example. What the heck? What is Oregon Business doing? And what is the integration between Oregon Business and the development of small businesses in our community? Hello? So anyway, that's where I'm at.
So Shelley?
I like this conversation. What I'm trying to think through, James, in response to your question, why isn't Prosper? I think Prosper isn't at the table with us until the city's back in partnership with us on this project. That's my inclination. And once the city is back, I hope that we can pursue something like that. That would be phenomenal. I've also been thinking, maybe how can we work like some sort of this idea, either a hybrid of what James is talking about or what Art's talking about, or I don't know, like into, we'd like to see, is there something in the federal infrastructure program that we could propose that could be kind of groundbreaking or innovative around this? I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now.
Shelley, you're absolutely right. If you listen to these people about this infrastructure money, there's a lot of creative kinds of outlay for how you do this kind of stuff. They're looking for ways for us to do things differently, but somebody has to envision that, put it on paper, and run it up to the flagpole so we can get some response to that. I don't know where all these consultants are, what they doing, what's going on with this, if you feel me on that. It doesn't.
I do.
Frustrating for me to see that this money is coming down the pike. We don't have any creative ideas how to leverage it, especially for this program, and nobody's putting it out there on paper for us.
Yeah.
So, Art, honestly, I kind of want to tease out your idea a little bit more because it's really, I love out of the box thinking. So, can you tell us like a little bit more about like if you've seen it work, how have they done it, and
I have it.
what kind of, do you know what kind of funds were you, like, was it state funds, or do you know how it was used?
No, honestly, Amber, this isn't, this is me just being conservative about how the funds can be used. And we all know if we put money in other people's hands to support the groups that we're working to help, we're not gonna, it's gonna get diluted with the fees that go along with that. And
Right.
it's not gonna ever fully service the job itself or help the contractor that we're working to build capacity with. What I'm saying is that what we gotta do is really think about this as, ODOT's got, how big is this project projected to be, just to be on the floor again? What's the projected cost of this project?
With the
20
hybrid 3, with hybrid 3 in the billions.
Yeah, so let's just say $1 billion to make it simple for us. I just didn't want to say a number. How hard would it be to put maybe $25 million inside a fund that supports a banking model that's tied to an SOV? And it shows people how to go through the process to get those funds. So maybe we hire a banker that works well with these folks and design a process. I'd love to develop something like that because I think it's innovative. This is tax dollars going to work. It's meant to feed back to the community. It's not meant to only service the outcome of a project. The project means that we also have to have success. And that's what James is talking about.
Right.
The problem that we have not had is that we've given all the restrictions to say how come we can't use folks or why they need to have a bank. I'm sorry, the state is the bank. I pay it every stinking month with my tax payments that I do from my personal side. So I'm saying I would rather see my funds go into the state, create a coffer for these folks when they're building a project, that they would be paid through the SOV process. Secondly, when they're going that, they're going to financial statements, they're going to have all the things, all the support that they need. So after they're done with this project, they're going to have a history that they could use to go back to the bank and say, look, we went through this and we had this banker working with us, and build hope and vision and some sort of stability for these smaller businesses that don't have these opportunities. That's where I'm kind of going, and maybe we need to be the designer for this. And James, I'm with you on the fact that we've got agencies that were put together to manage money, and they're just not giving it out to the right people right now. And I feel that. I completely agree. I got our Cortez construction struggles all stinking day long because we're always told what we don't have in order to get. And I hear you, and you're absolutely right. Amber, if there's something, if we need to sit down with the steering committee, let's just do it.
All right, thank you.
Well, I think you ought to pay Art to sit down with you. You're already gonna give money out anyway. Stop playing. Give the money to Art. Let him go in, vet that idea. Just expand what you're already gonna get him for these meetings and let him figure it out. Give him some money to do it. Hello?
Got it.
Thank you, James.
That's an interesting idea.
Well, I feel like I need to follow up with Felicia. Felicia, I'm going to follow up with you on this idea that Art has. I think you've probably been one of the best that I've seen in terms of like tapping into the private resources.
I would also tap into Sun. I mean, Sun's big enough firm. They've had these mega projects where they are even the financier. You know, we see these mega design PPP projects, and Jeff Williamson, who's on the executive team for the joint venture, has a ton of experience with PPPs, and not to say ODOT or Oregon Bank or Art banking design firm isn't the way to go as well, but I know Sun's a good resource for this kind of thinking, and I know we could bring them to bear as well.
So Bill, one of the things that reason I really am animated about this is because it's one of the barriers, one of the concepts that precludes people from wanting to get into business, knowing the struggle of getting money. And from an incentive standpoint, this lets people know in the community you're serious about what you're trying to do. And you're going to find pathways to help them grease their way in. Most people don't think they can succeed in the construction industry because of the loans and the historical barriers you guys have laid out. So this would be another incentive element to bring people down the road to try to at least engage in looking at how you do this. You know what if you understand what I'm talking about.
I do. I immediately in my mind think we've spent so much time in the last 6 months talking about mini primes that we haven't spent enough time on the small startup,
Right.
like we saw on Interstate Avenue. You know, where we spend so much time talking about $10-20 million scopes, and we're not talking about $200,000 scopes, which is where a small business gets going, and where a bank comes in handy, or some kind of creative lending program comes in handy. Hi, Katrina, welcome.
I have shoddy internet today. I'm sorry if I glitch out. I just wanted to say that I really love the idea. If that's something that happens, maybe there could be some sort of funds that if one of the workers happens to get COVID or get injured on the job or something like that, that there's some sort of funds for the worker.
So we're already running into this. As you've heard Terrence talking, we've been trying to innovate as we wait for the project to get going on actually Hamilton stepped up to be our guinea pig, if you want to know the truth. And we've been doing some creative placements of people of color that are coming from outside the industry and getting them on projects in rural parts of Oregon where Hamilton's working. And what's popped right up is, you know, how do you get them there? How do you sustain them there? It's like the opportunities are there, but there's these small financial barriers to doing it with the workforce. So lately we've just been reaching in our pockets, and because it's only, you know, $1,000 here, $1,000 there, and that's kind of how we've been operating the last 3 months. We've placed like 8 people so far in the last 3 months in places where you would normally not be able to place anybody. And what's come up over and over is it sure would be nice if we had a kitty of funds that we could set up a committee to govern over and start doing some placements that normally wouldn't happen because we don't have this small amount of money at our disposal.
Yeah, on my side of things, we've got retention funds from our trust, and I'm sure some of the other programs do as well. But there's time and time again where, let's just take somebody that comes out of constructing Hope. They don't have a lot of money to be able to go move someplace. They get there, something happens, and for whatever reason, they're not working, or the company that they're working for. There are ways for companies to be able to give them a little bit of their fringe, for a short amount of time, to be able to help with travel costs or per diem if they don't have that. And then you've got someone that has to take off for a couple of weeks and not be able to work. COVID's not going to last forever, but some emergency situation, you've got somebody sitting there paying their own travel costs and per diem, wise, whatever that is that's going on. And so it would be great if you're looking at a funding structure to be able to include stuff like that, especially for the folks that are, underrepresented or, in the economically distressed arena.
I
Yeah.
step out, guys. So I want to thank you all and just reach out to me if you need anything. Karina, sorry for jumping in on top of you.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, can I say one other thing, please? I run my mouth quite a bit. I understand that, y'all. You have to bear with me. I'm over into this thing a little bit. Can I say something?
Go, sir.
Cut me off for you. You're not gonna cut me off for you.
No.
So I was listening to Katrina. For somebody like me who's been in this business 30, 40 years, it bothers me that we can't take the science kind of concept that Bill has developed with the green sheet and extend it out to actually analyzing the workforce and business history of where we've been. And what I mean by that is, for example, I got employees that worked for me 15 years ago. I don't have a clue where they are. I don't know what they've done, which tracks they've taken off to. People who do scientific stuff to really understand their body of work will invest in that knowledge base, trying to figure out the connections, the relationships, the trends, the patterns, the behaviors that occur. How do we retain people? Why do we keep having to reinvent the wheel and go back and forth and so forth? Why wouldn't we institutionalize a tracking mechanism to really analyze our work going forward? We won't have to be going down this road every time trying to be creative, invent stuff. We will have some sort of document, some sort of system in place to really look at what we've done and where we're going. I don't know if you all understand what I'm talking about, but it bothers me. This is the perfect opportunity to do this. If this industry and what we're doing has any value at all, it's worth trying to institutionalize it and track it and make it a fundamental element of where we go in the future. And to me, that's a concern. Why wouldn't we do that? And Bill's talking about $1,000 here and $1,000 there. What the hell's wrong with ODOT? They want, I bet you they know how many bridges they put back together 25 years ago. I bet you they know what the element of the concrete was in those bridges. I bet you they know what the stress level is in those bridges they built 25 years ago. Do we know about the human investment 25 years ago? I say not.
So James, actually, that's a really good point. So some of the things like the tracking, basically, why don't we have a tracking mechanism going forward for the workforce? So besides for the workforce requirements that y'all have seen thus far in the diversity plan, Megan alluded to this in her project update. So at an upcoming meeting, Monica will come back and provide a briefing to you all on the performance measures. And the performance measures do include some of the kind of information that it sounds like you want or that you described here. So great idea. All that's to say, great idea. And
I just want to say, Amber, the historical Albina group, they're going to look at the buildings, they're going to look at the roads, how they used to be. They're going to know all that. They're going to put energy and resources into doing that. Why aren't we doing similar stuff to the human element that built these, this community and the workforce and so forth? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. No, I'm in agreement with you. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so my only point is, James, that there is some of that in the performance measures that we're gonna talk to you about at an upcoming meeting. So to be continued.
Is
Shelley,
anybody's,
do you
yeah.
have your hand raised? No? Okay. All right.
So we really gravitated towards wealth creation, and Michael and Katrina kind of took us to workforce for a minute.
Mhm.
But I mean, they're all like, you could easily assign a task force to both the topics that we've been going deep on tonight. You know, just an idea that comes to mind is that there's only so much that you can really achieve in these meetings. But if you were to grab James and Art and have a task force that looked at financing small business project based, we talk about it in the technical assistance part of the diversity plan. That would be a great smaller working group outside of the COAC maybe. And then if you, same thing like to Katrina and Michael's point, along with Terrence, if there was more discussion about a project-based resource money, or to James's point, something outside the project that was there for money for workforce, wraparound workforce services, and they may be there as already, as Katrina alluded to, but sometimes we just don't know all that's available to us. But if we did, we could then, you know, really focus in on what else we need. Because I can tell you right now, money would help us place people on projects strategically ahead of this project. That I know that for a fact right now. You could even go, so I'll even go further and say, provide a portion of a wage for firms that you think may show up on this project to employ additional apprentices of color, women and people of color, where they could be reimbursed portion of those wages. We've seen like market recovery practices in the past. And, you know, when I have a number of DB firms that I'd like to see have more diverse workforces, and that it would be a lot easier conversation if I told them I could, for the project that they're working on tomorrow, that I could reimburse them 50% of the wage of an additional apprentice that I place with them, with the idea that they're eventually coming to this project. I could place a lot more people in the next 12 months prior to getting started out here.
But those firms, Bill, would have to have anti-harassment and anti-discrimination. Like, we don't want to set up those workers going to places that are not cool, I'll say.
Yep.
And my other thought was, you mentioned earlier that maybe SUNT could play some kind of a role in this. Could SUNT bring AGC?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool.
For sure. I think that, you know, we like this old term from Interstate, the stars are aligned for this stuff right now.
Right.
They really are.
Yes, they are.
Hamilton can too. Hamilton's established in the
Yeah.
state and well respected in
Yep.
AGC. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, it really, once you flesh out what it is and how it could work, it'd just be a matter of, you know, like if you think about the Oregon Bankers Association potentially, and like the AGC, they're traditionally kind of like more on the moderate or Republican-y. And then you have like, you know, the different, you know, organizations that support a lot of the minority contracting that tend to be more liberal. And we're also, remember, gearing up, we're a couple of years away from a number of elections. So like 4-year elections, governor, all the things. So the time is ripe.
So
Yep.
I-
James,
I would like to talk about y'all's concept about outreach and cultural competency, that kind of stuff. It occurred to me that what's wrong with making some of the larger Black churches recruitment and outreach hubs? What's wrong with paying them for the space and the facility of acclimating their members and the people around them to what we're trying to do on this project? I'm talking about making it a financial value proposition for these churches to help us, and at the same time trying to empower those churches, which many of them are struggling one way or the other, and incentivizing it in such a way that they bring other churches into the thing. Now, I know some people will talk about, well, you can't mix religion and all that, but at the end of the day, if we don't think outside the box, think where the culture really is for Black people, and really try to move resources in that direction, we're making a big mistake. And I've watched this movie before, relying on the same people to do our recruitment and our outreach for the last 20 years. They come up with, pretty good stuff, but at the end of the day, they're limited by where they've been and what we're talking about. So thinking outside the box, getting the community involved, kills 3 or 4 birds with one stone. It makes them partners in this relationship and in this area where they're already situated. And at the same time, I'm just going to be honest with you. When I get somebody from out of a church, there's already a predisposition on my part to have a good employee, because whether you like it or not, they are tethered to a moral value to do the right thing for the right reason. I'm not no holy roller. Don't get me wrong, y'all. I ain't no holy roller. I'm just another person thinking practically about how this community operates and how we get people to do the right thing for the right reason.
Well, we don't have to look at churches like religious hubs, like they're nonprofits, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So.
Right. Katrina?
I was going to suggest, if ODOT doesn't already have one, that they develop a confidential harassment reporting line.
It's a great idea.
You might want to add race on that too.
Yes.
You might want to add race on that. And while we're on this subject, you all know that what's her name? The lady that was running civil, Miss Perkins. What's her name? How you pronounce her?
Nicotris.
Nicotris just resigned from ODOT, and I don't know if you had a chance to review her report about what ODOT needs to do and in order to bring itself around for organizationally, but it's outstanding. She's leaving, as you all know, and this project is part of a system. And Angela Crane was on this call, but at the end of the day, unless they fix some of those things that she laid out, were you there, Shelley? Did you see her report in the equity thing? Have you talked?
I have not, but I have some time set aside with Nicotris later this month, and I have a ton of respect for her and her work.
I got news for you. Unless we begin to fix this stuff upstream, this is a one-off on this project. This stuff got to be fixed upstream. And her report addresses many of those issues. And some of the things that she lays out in the report is directly applicable to this project. So if anybody hadn't seen it, they better get with it, because she lays out some very fascinating aspects of the ODOT culture and what it's going to take to be successful in this arena.
so I know we're going to get pulled out. There's a couple of people I haven't heard from. I don't know if you want a second, Felicia and Tawana. Do either of you have anything you want to say before we get yanked?
No, I'm good. Michael Birch spoke for me. I was unable to speak at that time, so he said we're in alignment there.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Felicia? She must be good.
Bill, Felicia
Yeah.
also got her booster today.
Oh,
So she's with us, but she's a little bit.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I'm assuming that maybe Corinne's keys are stuck or something, because I would have thought we would have got yanked by now. We can keep going.
We have 6 more minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, this is all good stuff,
Okay.
James, I didn't mean to run you off.
No. You guys, and remember, I had an opportunity to peruse the plan that you guys got, and I think it's good. I'm really upset about the inability to get an economist in one of those questions about that. I know you guys. I don't really expect you all to get an economist. I was really asking in that piece that ODOT gets an economist. They're gonna get an economist for every damn thing else. Why wouldn't they get an economist to help us figure out quantitatively and qualitatively how we're progressing on this project and projecting out what the outcomes and so forth? It's so asinine to me when we start talking about trying to do things for human beings. We're not willing to put our best knowledge on the front line to get it done. What's the problem with an economist? ODOT has an economist. The state has an economist. Why wouldn't you all bring someone in to do some assessments from a transparency standpoint and from an accountability standpoint? You all know we spend many millions of dollars. We don't know where that money went to, whether or not it was effective or any of that, because we're not willing to put the science on trying to determine what's happened, when it happened, and how it happened. I'm sad about that. And it doesn't speak well for ODOT or anybody else who's trying to make sure this project really benefits the Black community. Put that on the record now. I want that in the record.
I got it. Economist, scientist.
Yeah. Put that on the record. It doesn't make no sense. It doesn't make no sense, Bill. And you know it because you're a scientist.
Just one thing, Mr. Birch, I definitely am on this call, sir. And anybody can call me. I do not have a disposition against the Carpenters Union. I pray that I can get an opportunity to work with y'all and get people in our community going. So hopefully I get a couple of minutes with you at some point. I'm sure Bill gonna make it happen. And Mr. Posey, I am actually tracking. I can't control what ODOT and all them do. I'm a community dude. I'm actually tracking the people that we're hiring with my position. You can show up at DTP and I'll open up the folder, big brother, and we can look at the bodies and we can look at the progression. Anything I'm doing is open to you. I think you know that, but just in case you don't, as far as the bodies, big brother, that I'm able to place, we can look at where they're going, how they're doing, and we can call them and check on them, and you can get some real answers as far as I go. ODOT is a different story, of course.
Terrence, it's definitely not about you and what you're doing, brother. I really appreciate you, but we have we got the University of Oregon, we got Portland State, we have all these social science programs over there. What's intellectual stuff worth without us applying some of that and making it a part of a package so we can see what's really going on? You're doing a great job, Terrence. Don't even go down that road with me, brother. I just, you know what I'm saying,
So we participated in the Green Dot program the last 2 years on the Division Transit project, and they're well funded enough to where they've hired a PSU researcher, Marna, I can't remember her last name, but a doctor.
Mara?
Yeah, Mara. Yeah, Mara. And I had a good initial conversation, but of course, they're going to come out to a project that's, 70% people of color, and ask them if individually if they've ever been harassed. And I'm like, God, wouldn't it be better if we're working on numbers versus like we know there's harassment in the workforce. We got that, right? But to James's point, we don't have anyone of her caliber who's just doing that research. Maybe there is someone that we just don't know, but economist, scientist, doctor, just someone who's dedicating a body of work towards looking back in history and showing us the numbers, showing us charts and graphs that depict disaggregated workforce numbers, and not just workforce, but we might as well get the management and the middle management, the ownership up on the board too, if for nothing else, so we can track any improvement going forward.